Good morning, Seller Sessions, and good morning, Mr. Van. How are you today?
So good. Fantastic. Even though I'm outside of my office and I can't get in, I'm fantastic.
I love it. I love it. You're explaining that there's a lot of fire trucks outside
It's
around
like
you.
some sort of inspection. I don't know. They're not letting us in the office. Supposedly I was supposed to know about this, but whatever.
But nobody lets you know. Out of all the people that are working with you and for you, nobody has
Yeah,
informed you.
that's it. So
We're
I'm
going
I'm
to
I'm here
go
in
ahead.
my car.
It's perfectly fine. It's good to see you. I remember meeting you and seeing you for the first time at Geek Out in
Yep,
Austin, and that
yep.
was absolutely amazing. And every time I have a guest on from Geek Out, I can't help but just keep bringing it up because it was such a special event for me. As you know, the community that I'm part of is all Amazon, mostly Amazon FBA. So for me to step outside of that and see and going to Geek Out and meeting all these people from different industries was very mind blowing. So every time I have the opportunity to get a guest from Geek Out, I'm just super, super enthusiastic about it. And you are one. So thank you
Yeah,
for being here with us today.
Geek Out's unbelievable. I speak at a lot of conferences all over the world, and they do a fantastic job of curating high quality people. So the people that you meet there are different than your typical event that are just there to network and whatnot. These are people who are doing 8, 9 figures, and you have something that you can learn from every single person there. So they're fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. And I brought it up because I remember seeing your speech and you were talking about Snapchat. And I've never ever seen anybody on any stage speak about Snapchat. And I thought that was very interesting. So I would love to get a little bit into that, but only after you tell us a little bit about yourself, because I think your story is so unbelievable. And maybe you can throw in a little bit about your show
Sure.
and anything you want to share with us, it will be
Sure.
lovely.
Yeah. So I started. So I started in 2005. I started door to door sales, and I did door to door sales for 12 years, for selling alarm systems door to door. And I was a fantastic salesman. I was really good at sales, but I just I didn't love the lifestyle because I was gone for 6 months at a time, knocking doors, selling door to door. And I wanted to be at home with my family. So I figured if I could sell stuff in person, I should figure out how to sell stuff online. So I started in 2012, started advertising online. I created some products and I learned how to run traffic to them just by watching some YouTube videos and whatnot. And then I learned to run Facebook traffic to my offers that I had at the time. And then after I got pretty good at that, I did that for a couple of years. I had some friends reach out who had a company called Diesel Power Gear, and they said, we've got this business. We did $4 million last year in sales, but we're not running any sort of paid advertising. Can you run Facebook ads for us? And I was just like, well, give it a shot, and give it a try. So I started with them in 2016, and we took them from 4 million up to 12 million, up to 20. Now, last year they did $30 million in revenue. Just adding a paid aspect to what they were doing. So I did that. We had a TV show come about called Diesel Brothers. It's on Discovery Channel, typically on Motor Mondays, but it's just big diesel trucks that they flip and turn over. And that kind of came after the business was established. We'd already done, I think, after $8 million in revenues when they reached out to do it. So that just kind of added fuel to the fire as far as organic reach, people seeing the company all over. So I did that. Been the CMO over at Diesel Power Gear for years now, and then just recently joined Skylab Ventures. So a lot of stuff going on. I have an agency that we run a lot of Snapchat ads for. I have a couple direct consumer businesses, and then the CMO for Diesel Power Gear, and now the Skylab Ventures stuff. So kind of all over the place, but very, very active.
I love it. Yeah, and you have also a big family, and you also love to do a lot of things with them,
Yeah.
which I see on your Instagram. That's amazing. It's a lot of balancing, I would assume.
Well, so I have 4 kids, right? And that's why I got out of the door-to-door sales was I missed my second daughter walk. And I said, I don't, there's not really any amount of money to me in the world that's worth me missing my children being raised, right? Worth me not being there for the crucial moments of a child. So I just said, I gotta, it's a quality of life thing. And I just said, I got to get out of this. And I learned to do the online marketing stuff in particularly so that I could be home with the kids. And now it's morphed into a thing where I work a lot, but when I'm home, I mean, you've seen it on the Instagram and whatnot. It's devoted to my kids. I literally get home 6:30 and my phone goes on the charger until my kids go to bed at 8:30. And those 2 hours, those 2.5 hours that I have with my kids are very, that I probably hold those more dear than anything else. Those specific 2 hours that I have with them to make sure that I'm present and there with them until they go to bed. And then, yeah, I'll pick up the phone, and money never sleeps. Right. But
Right.
at least for those couple hours at night, I devote it to them.
I love that because, even those 2 hours, they're probably more condensed than somebody being at home all day
On their phone, not paying attention. When your kids are asking, Dad, look at this, and you're on your phone, not paying attention, right?
Yeah, it was a kind of not wake up call because I know I do this a lot, but my 5-year-old yesterday, he said, Mommy, if you receive a message on your phone, just don't care about it. I'm like, where's this coming
so
from?
true.
But
Your
he's
phone's
fine.
not going, and I know, but your phone's not going anywhere. And I promise you, the kids are gonna, like, I tell all my friends, like, your kids are gonna remember if you were actually there and playing and doing stuff, or if you were like constantly on your phone. Your kids notice, right? So
I love that. You're such a good dad and such a good example for the rest of us, because every time I see you, you show that part that you can still be a super hard worker. I mean, you run all these companies, and yet you are so present in your kid's life, and I think that's so beautiful. So just wanted to mention that to you because you're amazing. So of course,
that. I value it a lot. So that means a lot.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And I also going back to like your entrepreneur history, having that door-to-door sales, that is so intense. That is so intense because people, they're so quick to say no. So I'm sure that has built you up into like an amazing online salesperson. I mean, you don't have to like deal with that constant refusal. The other day, a guy came knocking on my door, and he's selling like solar services or something. I already have solar on my home. But it's like, of course, I don't need his service. But at the same time, I told him, I said, you know what? Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, you are doing a really good job. And he's like, oh my God, you too. Like, what do you do? So we started talking. And, I have this admiration for door-to-door sales because especially then now after COVID, because people, have shut down even more. It's like, most people don't even want to see people. One, they may be afraid. Maybe they're, you don't know what people are carrying as far as like viruses and stuff. I'm completely, on the other fence of that. I don't know if you've seen my Instagram memes, but I told him, I'm so proud of you, and he's doing so good. And, they're actually doing pretty good money. Like these people, you see them walking around, they're actually killing it.
People don't really understand. I mean, I made more money doing door-to-door sales. Like you make a lot of money. I'll tell anybody, it's probably the most important. Like, I really feel like the best thing that you can do in your career, I don't care what you do. It doesn't matter if you're a salesman, a doctor, or whatever. I think the best thing you can do for your career is 2 years of direct sales experience. And I'm not talking like work at a retail store where people come in and asking you what type of blouse to wear. I'm talking like going out and finding cold customers and then making them warm, then eventually converting them to a sale. Like the type of people skills that you learn doing that, you'll use the rest of your life with coworkers, in your relationships, in any sort of facet of your life. You're going to use those skills. So I don't regret doing door-to-door whatsoever. In fact, I wear it as a badge of honor, just because I know the type of person that I am now. Because of it, I take rejection very well. You can tell me, and I can fail a million times, because that's typically the way it happens with door-to-door. Is you fail 100 times in a row, and then you get one sale, and it makes your whole day worth it. And you make thousands of dollars and all that. So for me to get a no or for me to fail, it's just on par. I do it often. I fail all the time. And it's just, I've got pretty thick skin when it comes to rejection and
I can
failing.
understand. I can understand it. I mean, I can't imagine like how many times you're told no and in so many ways. And by doing that, you learn every time how to get around that. Like, I keep going back to the guy from 2 days ago. I said, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not interested. I was actually in a rush. I was going somewhere. He's like, what are you not interested in? Like, what is it that I'm selling? I'm like, oh shit, I don't even know what you're selling. I'm like, "No, I'm not interested." But the fact that he asked me, I was like, oh, so we got to talk for like another 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
the fact that I was like, dude, you're doing really good. I don't know what to tell you. I can't buy anything from you, but you're so good at this. Like, I
That's
love it.
great.
And he said he was doing all 100% commission. And I just love that. I just want to hire every single person that knocks on my door.
Every time you see a door-to-door salesman, you should hire them because they are some of the hardest working people you'll ever meet.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. No, I'm glad you had that experience. And then you moving through all of these stages in your life. I mean, your beginning was pretty humble as well. So was mine. And how do you cultivate that mindset of, you know what, I'm not giving up no matter what?
I think my beginning, and I'm not knocking on anybody who grew up with any sort of money whatsoever. But the way I grew up, one of 7 kids, and if you wanted to eat, you had to eat quick. And if you wanted for somebody to recognize you and do something, you had to be very loud about it. So the only thing that I knew is that when I grew up, I wanted to have everything that I wish I had when I was a kid. And I wanted to make sure my kids had all those things. So I've always had this desire, just, I guess, to be bigger, to want more than we had. We had enough. Like, we had plenty enough to get by. We had food on the table, and that's all you could really ask for. But growing up, I always wished that I could go on the vacations with my friends, that I could do all the fun things that my friends got to do. And now, like, that's what I want for my kids. I want them to be able to have all those things that I didn't have when I was younger. So I think it motivates me, right? Coming from humble beginnings, I think it gives you a type of hunger that other people might not have.
I tend to agree with that because I wanted to strive for more as well. Coming from Romania, came with $100 in my pocket. I wanted to make a better future, not only for myself because I was only 21, but I wanted to help my family back home. So for me, it was always, how do I make that better? And then it was almost like I started like in a negative and just bringing it here where I could help my family and making sure that they're okay. Then that's when I started doing things for myself. I mean, I still have that part where it's like I have to take care of everyone. But I really love that. So when did it stop being about material for you? Because at some point you make more than enough that it's like, I see all your toys, Van. I know you have all the toys in the catalog. And when does it stop being about material?
It's not about material things for me now. Like let me rephrase that. Like, I live for experiences, right? I live for experiences with my family, with my friends, with all of the above. I think you met me, Mina. Mina. So Mina was up this last weekend, and we spent a lot of time together. We went out doing all the fun stuff with all the razors and all this stuff. And we were talking about how we wish we had done this with our dads when we were younger. And I think all the toys, all this stuff, the boats, the razors, all the fun little things is for experiences with my family, right? So assuming that I can continue having experiences with my family, call it helicopter, call it whatever you want. I get to spend time with my family, and my kids will remember these experiences forever. So I don't. Material things are important, but assuming that you can pay all the bills and the food's on the table and everything's there, the only reason that I have the material things beside that is just for experiences with my kids.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I love that. It's like, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, you make all the money and then you buy all the things you've never had, and then you go online and you see all these gurus. They're like, you know what, like you shouldn't buy all these things. You should not buy Starbucks. You should not buy this. You should save. So it's like, you go from extreme to extreme, and I feel like you have found the perfect balance between that, because I'm sure you're still saving, you're still investing, and doing all of these things.
Yeah, I'm not saying spend all your money. I'm saying if there's an opportunity that you can spend your summer with your kids on a boat, and you have the opportunity to afford that, and you get to share those experiences that they'll and you will never forget, then that's why I work. Some people want the fancy stuff for Instagram, for whatever. I do it for experiences with my family.
Absolutely. I love that. So let's get into a little bit more technical. Snapchat. Why Snapchat? How did you even get into that? I love that.
So because nobody else is doing it. The fact of the
100%.
matter, the fact of the matter is, so Snapchat has 300 million active daily users. I mean, it's nowhere near where Facebook is, and now TikTok's about to surpass Instagram and active daily users, and Instagram and so forth. It's nowhere near those, right? But every company that you know and everybody that you know are running Facebook ads, and they're doing it internally, or they have an agency that's really, really good at it. But what happens is that there's a different demographic on Snapchat, right? That those 25 to 30-year-olds that are spending a lot of money on Snapchat. And if you have a brand that fits that demo and you're spending on Facebook already, you're leaving a lot of money on the table by not advertising on Snapchat, even at a lower budget. You're not going to spend the same amount that you are on Facebook, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of retargeting, a lot of people that you can reach there that actually spend money, that spend more time on Snapchat than on Facebook. And if you're not doing it, you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, I don't know one person right now, and I have a really large database of Amazon sellers. I don't know one that does Snapchat ads. So how do you even get into that? Like, where can one learn, first of all?
So what happened is, previous to 2017, their ad library was garbage. Their database was garbage. It just was really bad. And then in 2018, they redid their whole platform to where it looked very similar to Facebook, the way you run the ads and everything. And I just, at that time, I was just like, this is new. And I saw Snapchat as an upcoming platform at the time. And every year it's been growing, every year since. People think Snapchat's dying. You're wrong. If you'll actually look at the active daily users, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. So I saw what happened was my youngest brother came in to intern for me, and he was using Snapchat for everything. At the time he was 19, he's 23 now. But at the time he was 19, and he was using it to text, to call, to everything with his friends. That's how they communicated. So I was just like, well, if all this younger generation who's this age now, here in 4 years, they're going to be prime buyers. So I just figured I'd learn it. I hopped into it, and it was rough for the first couple months for them to figure out their pixel and everything. And then it's not as crowded. So the ads library and everything, the marketplace is a lot more wide open. Your CPMs are a third of the cost, and their pixels getting better. So it's a lot cheaper to learn on. And then once like in 2019, I was the Snapchat Star of the Year. And that doesn't mean anything other than I spent more money than anybody else on the platform. Like, whether I'm profitable or not, I've spent over $10 million on their platform. So I know it very well now. I know everything about their platform, and I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I never do, but I know it better than most. So if you are going to advertise there, and you don't have the ambitions to do it yourself or whatever, I became somebody who could do it for you. And that's kind of how I got into the Snapchat thing. And it's been really profitable for a lot of brands. It's been a great, I don't think it's the best first form of traffic. I think Facebook will always be that, but I think it's the best second form of traffic for a lot of people, for a lot of brands.
And you said it's even cheaper than Facebook would cost, or Instagram.
Way cheaper, just because the CPM. I mean, you have the amount of people that are advertising on Facebook that you have to compete with on a daily basis is a lot.
Of course.
As to where Snapchat's, the CPMs, the cost per 1,000 impressions, is literally a third of the cost. So for you to reach 1,000 people on their platform costs you 3 times less than it does on Facebook. Now, that being said, it doesn't convert as well as Facebook does. So end return on ad spend usually equals to be about the same in my experience. But to learn and to get your name out there, it's a lot cheaper than Facebook.
And you said maybe it wouldn't work for all brands. Like, what are some brands that you think would be ideal for Snapchat?
If your demo is under 50, if your demo is over 55 years old, don't use Snapchat. If it's under 55, they're on Snapchat. And maybe if it's a teen type product, maybe you want to be on TikTok instead. But if your demo is 25 to 35-year-olds, that's prime for Snapchat. And it's 61% female. But if you have a male brand, don't let that hinder. Like the majority of the brands, Diesel Power Gear, for example, we're 91% male skew. So scale heavily male. And we do just fine on Snapchat. So don't let that discourage you if you have a male one. But if you have a female demographic, 61% of them are on there. And a big stat that they give out that everybody should know is, though Facebook holds the most, I think it's like 58 minutes a day that people spend on Facebook, Snapchat's 52. But they open it 30 plus times a day. So people spend more time on Facebook when they're on it, scrolling and so forth. Mm-hmm. Snapchat's something that they check into a lot more often. So they check over 30 times a day. So they're looking in there, and it's something where you can touch people a lot of times with your advertising.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, I don't even know much about Snapchat, and I use it for a little bit, but to me it's just I don't know.
I'm too old for it. I'm too old. I'm on Instagram, right? And I'm a little bit too old for it, though my wife uses it and she'll send me videos of the kids and whatnot, but I'm a little bit too old for it. But it doesn't mean I don't use it on a daily basis, but I understand advertising on it.
And your team uses it, and you said you use it for Diesel Gear, right? And that has it increased your sales, I assume, because now you're not only doing Facebook, but you are bringing some revenue from Snapchat as well.
Yeah, I think an omni-channel approach going forward is going to be crucial for most brands. I think as the iOS 14 comes out and the app tracking transparency stuff, the opt-in rates are really low. And I think Facebook, though it'll still be there and all these other platforms will be there, I think you can't, if Facebook goes away tomorrow, most brands would die.
Right.
And you can't run a business like that. So I really feel like an omni-channel approach is kind of the way of the future, be it Facebook, Google, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, all of the above. And attribution gets a little bit sloppy in there, but either way, you need to be on all the platforms so that if something does happen to one of the platforms, your business isn't going to go out of business, right? You'll have other platforms that are still pushing revenue.
Yeah, a lot of Amazon sellers are starting, and they go to Amazon as their on one and all solution, and it's very hard right now. I mean, I started in Amazon about 7 years ago, and I could see it transform into this like very powerful but also very competitive platform. And I think you're right, just like being on Amazon solely, like it's not enough. I mean, being on Amazon and Facebook is no longer enough.
Right.
So I think, reaching out to all these other platforms, it's a fantastic way. So for somebody to get into it, would they have to like reach out an agency, or how would you go if you just started your brand? Like, what would you do?
So if it's a brand new brand, I wouldn't start with Snapchat. I would start with Facebook, right? But once you've established and you figure, your rough KPIs, key performance indicators on each platform, especially on Facebook, and then you've kind of figured out what your scale is there, then I would start Snapchat, and then I would start the YouTube and the Googles and all these other platforms. But if you're established and your brand's established and you've been running Facebook ads and you see a good return, but the scale's not there and you're seeing your return on ad spend start to decrease with all this new updates and stuff, I would definitely, if you're buying media in-house from Facebook, your media buyer, your in-house media buyer should be able to learn Snapchat relatively easy. It looks the same. It feels the same inside the ads dashboard. everything feels the same. So you should be able to do it relatively simply. But if not, then yeah, you can reach out to an agency. There's a couple, mine in particular, that only do Snapchat, right? We do Facebook and stuff, but primarily all we do is Snapchat for these larger brands. So reach out to them and then start working on it that way. But if you're doing it in-house already with Facebook, I'm telling you, you can do it yourself. Like there's plenty of tutorials out there on YouTube and whatnot to where you can learn to run low budget stuff. Cause you can, I think the lowest ad set that you can run is $50 a day on Snapchat per ad set. So $50 a day, you can test it out and see if it works for your brand.
Would do you ever see that, you know, the ads working on Facebook work the same or better on Snapchat, or how do you want to tweak them to?
That's a great question. Most of the time, it's a different type of creative that works on Snapchat. So though the hook and the angle and everything of your ads that you're running on Facebook that are crushing, they have to be 9:16 for Snapchat. So it has to be the full vertical selfie style type stuff. But what we've found is that it's a different type of creative that works on Snapchat. It's a very raw selfie. So Snapchat is just friends talking to friends, selfie style. There's not a lot. It's not a lot of production value or anything that way. It's a lot of influencer based and a lot of like just raw selfie style videos. So that's the type of video that converts on Snapchat. It's typically not the same that you're running on Facebook. So you would need to make different type of creative to run on Snapchat.
So basically make an ad that doesn't look like an ad.
Make an ad that's very raw and selfie style. Like I share a lot of examples with people of ads that are working, and most of the time it's the UGC, like the user generated content of somebody using your product that you sent out that performs really well because it's raw, it's selfie style, and that's what they're used to seeing inside of Snapchat.
Okay, got it. I love that. Did you ever consider getting into TikTok, or that's not something that you are?
Yes, no, I did consider it. And I think it's smart for a lot of brands to do. It's the cheapest of all the traffics, even though it converts probably the worst of all of them, but it's very easy to get your name out there. My thing is that I'm very good at I'm good at Facebook. I'm great at Snapchat. I tried TikTok when it first came out with the Pixel 1.0 and I got slaughtered, lost a decent amount of money. And I just said, ugh. It might take a lot to learn this platform, and I know it's probably better now, but I'm not great at it. I know how to do Snapchat, and even though people have told me like it's the same type of creative that works on TikTok that works on Snapchat, I just kind of stick with what I'm good at, and then I'll hire somebody. I'm hiring somebody to do the TikTok stuff. Something that I'm not good at, I'll hire somebody to do.
Do you get a lot of requests from your clients to do both?
To do TikTok and Snap? Yeah, a lot of people want to run TikTok as well. It's just not something that we're professionals at yet. Hopefully in the near future, we can hire a professional TikTok advertiser to come in-house and that kind of understands it fully and better than I do. And then we'll offer both those services. But for right now, it's just not something that we offer.
I love that. I mean, mastering Snapchat, that's pretty huge. Again, I don't know anyone. I think a lot more people should at least be curious about it and at least learn about it. Just like you said, if Facebook goes tomorrow, a lot of businesses will die, and that is such an accurate statement because we get used to these platforms, you know, they're good to us. And then, you know, we feel like, oh my God, like I would die. I can't do anything without it. So being able to have access to everything else, it's so powerful. And not only that, but you're going to make more money in the end, which is what everybody wants.
Right.
Have you ever worked with influencers or micro influencers in any capacity?
Yeah, big time. One of my biggest, we work with Logan Paul directly for Diesel Power Gear. Everybody saw him last night, this fight, but
I didn't see it. Who won?
It was an exhibition, right? So they didn't actually pick a winner, but the fact that he made it 8 rounds with the greatest boxer, arguably the greatest boxer of all time, even though he was bigger, like Floyd was throwing. I was very proud of him. I thought he did really well, to be honest. And I'm proud of what he's built. He's built a massive brand around himself, and he's doing big things. So I'm proud of him. But we've worked with him. We work with a lot of influencers In fact, that's kind of what works really well with Snapchat. If you can get an influencer involved, it works well. So we work with him, a lot of the Diesel brothers. We work with a lot of influencers on Snapchat.
How do you find the influencers? How do you
honestly, if you own a brand, you should know the influencers in your space. You really should. If you have a leggings brand, if you have a purse company, I don't care what you have. So Diesel Power Gear, for example, we're a truck automotive, company, and I know every single influencer in the space just because I want to know what the influencers in my space are posting about, what they're talking about, so forth, so that I can make ads accordingly. And yeah, I reach out manually to each of these people and reach out to their agents or whatever. Like I worked with Snow Teeth Whitening. They have Floyd Mayweather as well. They have Gronk. They have some of the biggest brands out there, or biggest influencers out there running their ads for them. And they've invested a ton of money into these people, but they earn it back off their ads because these people's faces are so recognizable that when you run the ads, people will watch the ads because they have the people in them. So over time, they earn their money back just off of cheaper advertising because of having them. But the brands that I see doing really well, and I'm not talking tier A influencers. You don't need the Gronkowskis and the Floyd Mayweathers. You don't need these people, but somebody with a recognizable face, the B-list or the C-list celebrities, these work really well in ads.
Unbelievable. No, I love it. I always wonder because I'm actually, by the way, going to Josh's mastermind next week.
Oh, really?
Josh, yes, I am. I'm going to be
there.
I will for sure. And I've always watched his ads even before knowing him. And I was always wondering, like, I wonder what it would cost to get somebody like Floyd to do an ad for you. And then I know he has the Kardashians, I think, one of them, or maybe all of them.
Right.
He was on Ellen as well. I don't know. I don't remember if he was on Oprah, but it's like, what is it called?
His PR game's wild, man.
But how can you even do that? Like, okay, because you probably know this more than me. I mean, I'm gonna ask him personally too. But do you, for him, do you start by creating your brand and then hopefully get to sell a little bit and then invest a big portion of that money into like an influencer such as Floyd because he costs a lot of money, right?
So I mean, his brand was established before that. He didn't start his brand with Floyd Mayweather, so he had a very well established brand that he was running. And then, very early on, after the brand was established and he had done some revenue, he reached out to these really big influencers to push it along. So you might want to ask him particularly how he reached out and how he did that himself. But I know for a fact he didn't start with these people. He had a brand established. He started small. And then after he had his IP and all this stuff worked out, then he went and reached out to these bigger influencers.
I love it. I mean, I always wonder, I'm like, oh my God, like that product must be really good even for me. I mean, I know him and he's my friend and I see his ads and like, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy some.
No, I bought it myself. He would have sent me some, but at the end of the day, I appreciate what he's done and what he's built. So I definitely bought some as well.
No, I love it. I've always wondered, like Floyd Mayweather, like he must charge, I don't know, $1 million for an ad, maybe more. I don't even know. I'm just throwing it out there.
It's got to be close to that. I don't know.
Yeah, he came actually and spoke at Dan Flashman's mastermind. I'm in that mastermind as well, and he was it's Floyd. He's all about like, look at me, I'm so great, I'm so this, and that's his brand. That is his brand. So I can only imagine what like he charges all these people. But it's so cool to see how people can go from starting out to like becoming this powerful brand. Whether you're an actual brand like the Snow Teeth Whitening or the brand Floyd. Like that's it's all about
Money Mayweather's a full brand. So
it's definitely a full brand. So, and I work with small brands all the time and it's like they don't know where to start and they don't know where to look. And I always tell them, you should start with influencers. And people are afraid of that word. They're afraid because they think, oh my God, it's going to cost me a fortune. But if you reach out to micro influencers, and just like you said, Van, know the influencers in your space. And most people don't. They don't know. And they'll just sit there and say, I don't know what to do, so I'm not doing anything. That's the worst thing you can possibly do.
It's the quickest way to build trust in your brand. I mean, if you think about it, like, why would anybody trust your brand? There's no reason to trust your brand. If you're a new brand and you don't have reviews, you don't have all this stuff, and you're relatively new and people haven't heard of you on the street, there's no reason for them to trust your brand. And if you can find these micro influencers, like you say, most of these 4,000, 5,000 follower people aren't even going to charge you if you send them product, they'll be pumped. Because then they get to, gloat that they got free product from a company and so forth. So start small and reach out to these small people, and then, work your way up. But when somebody starts to see somebody like a Floyd Mayweather or a Logan Paul push their stuff, for whatever reason, they follow these influencers because they trust them. And if they like a brand, they'll like it too. They're not even going to ask questions. So it's worth its weight in gold to get an influencer involved in some way, rate, shape, and form. It doesn't have to be a Floyd Mayweather, but smaller local influencers, and then work your way up from there.
I love that. Yeah, people think it costs a lot, but like if you reach out to micro influencers that have like 4,000 followers or something, those are even better because one, they're real followers. Because nobody's going to pay for like 4,000 followers. Like
right.
Usually. Either all of them or nothing. So these people have, maybe those are the friends, or maybe they're just creating their brand. So you reaching out to them with a product, they will be, just like you said, like so bummed, like, oh my God, like now I am an influencer. And don't post about it over and over again. So your money is going to go a long time. And also, for example, for TikTok, because these people have a lot of followers, and there's a lot of them having a lot of followers. So it's like almost a competition between them now. And, they will show off your product for maybe the product itself. You might not even have to pay it. And, sometimes you may have to, but like very, very small compared to somebody on Instagram. Instagram is so overused. Again, we do spend a lot of time on Instagram, but, like if you go to TikTok and you see this person who has like 3 million followers showing off your product, I would be inclined to buy it. Definitely.
Right, for sure.
It doesn't cost as much as most people think.
I think people are just lazy. I think brands are just lazy in the fact that they don't want to take the time for the manual outreach of getting an influencer on board and so forth. But the brands that really scale and the brands that are really making a difference, those brands, they have influencers.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Like most people, I hear this a lot. If you have a really great product, it will sell. And I am not the opinion of that. I mean, the competition exists already. Products are getting better and better and better, which is great. But if people don't know about it, if people don't know that your product exists, how are they even going to get it to see that it's better than all the others?
Exactly. You got to get it out there first. Easiest way to do that. You've got paid advertising that gets it out there, but then you've also got influencers. And the difference between paid advertising is they don't trust your brand when they see your ad. When they see an influencer, they trust that ad. And when you can combine the two, a paid ad from an influencer's account, then you have gold.
I love that. So the same thing works on Amazon. So what I do at my company at RankBell, we rank products organically on page 1. So we bring those products that people say, oh my God, I have the best product. I say, I believe you 100%. But if it's on page even 2 or 3 on Amazon, which is not that hard, nobody's going to see it. So my job is to bring that product and put it on page 1 and combine that with a sponsored ad, because then you own the real estate and people are going to be able to be like, you know what, this product is the best product. Because essentially, even if you buy kind of a cheap product on Amazon, you still want that product to be good. I don't know how many times I bought something that was so shitty. I never even returned it, but I'm like, it's on page 1. It's like $20-$30. Like it doesn't, really affect me financially that much that I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to return it. However, I would love for that product that's on page 1 to be the best product. Because I don't want to keep buying, the same product over and over again. So, it's so important to bring it in front of people. bring your product in front of people. And you don't have to have a lot of money to do that. You can outreach yourself, like you said, like personally message. If you don't sit down and message 50 people today on all platforms, then you have no business in being a brand.
Right.
Like if you picked it up to to brag to your friends that you have a brand, that no longer works. It used to work about 7-10 years ago on Amazon,
Right.
when you literally just threw a product on, took a picture with your phone, and it would sell like hotcakes.
Right.
Now that's no longer the idea. However, it doesn't mean that Amazon is done, Amazon is gone. Contrary, you can use that because it's so competitive. And when it comes to competition, you only have to do a little bit more than
Just
the other
a little bit better than the other person's doing.
a little bit, but people feel
more
like,
effort.
yeah, they think the gap is so big. Oh my God, I have to reach out to Floyd Mayweather. And,
Right.
I mean, hopefully in the future you have enough that you can do that. But in the meantime, there's all these small steps that will really benefit you, that you can actually implement today.
Right.
To make that money.
No question. Yeah. The brands that are doing it now are the brands that are actually putting in effort to do it, that are doing the manual outreach, that are finding those people to do the posts.
So there's still market out there, guys. You can still make money. And how do people find you? Because you said your agency does Snapchat. I want people to be able to reach out to you if
For sure. The easiest way, honestly, this is going to sound stupid, but the easiest way is Instagram. Just because I'm the most active on there. The Instagram handle is It's Your Boy Van. Or you can just go to explosivegrowthmarketing.com. But just reach out to me if you have questions too. I'm serious when I say I love giving information. If you're trying to do this yourself and you just had a couple questions, reach out. I'm happy to answer any of the questions. Even if we don't end up working together, that's totally fine. I think karma goes a long way in this industry. And if you can help people out in some way, shape, or form, it'll come back around in another way. So if you have questions, I mean, my Facebook's Van Oakes, Oakes, but my Instagram's the easiest. Just It's Your Boy Van.
And I have to tell people that I think that's very accurate. I don't think I've ever asked you something that, you didn't want to respond. You're always very friendly and you always want to help. I mean, I see everybody comes to you at events, and we're going to also see you prosper, I think.
I'm super pumped. I'm super excited. The Thrasio guys invited me out, and I've got a lot of friends going, including you and Mina and some of these. So Amazon's a new thing for me to kind of understand and learn, and I'm excited to learn a little bit more about it and to meet some big players like you guys in the space. So I told them I'd be honored to go. So yeah, I'll be down there for that event.
Yeah, we'll pull you slowly over to this side to
to the dark side.
Exactly. It's very fun. It's because we have like this community. Imagine Geek Out, but like 1 million of us.
Right.
So it's really cool. That's why everybody's so pumped about this first event, because obviously we've been in COVID for the past year and a half. So everybody's so excited to see each other. There's a lot of people that we haven't met in person, that a lot of connections have been made over, during this period. So it was so good to see your face on one of the flyers. I'm like, yay, Van is coming. I saw Nick as well. Nick Shackelford.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I think it's going to be really good event. So for those that are listening and watching, please come say hi if you see us. If you see Van, go up to him, say hi, because he's amazing. And not only amazing and friendly, but also very knowledgeable and a brilliant human. So thank you so much, Van, for being here with us today. And I know you have to get back to your office and no longer sit in the car, but this has been...
I'm so sorry. I have a great setup in my office for podcasts and everything. And when I got here, the fireman out front, I was just like, that's the way you're going to start our day today. I'm going to do this podcast in the car.
Your audio's good. I see your nice seats, and I can see you perfectly. So this has been really great, and I know our listeners are going to enjoy this. So again, thank you, Van, and I will see you very soon here in a few weeks.
Thank you so much for having me on. It means a lot. So I'm excited to see you and everybody else down at Prosper. It should be pretty sweet.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you, Van.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.